Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Você arrasta minha ré, eu fico em cima do palco.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class and hopefully some attentive chanting. Let's make a start. We're talking about Dhruva Maharaj, and he has met Narad Muni, and Narad Muni tests him last week to see how serious he was on his mission, and he proved to be very resilient student and devotee of Narayan, although at the moment it's for material purposes, but he's very strong in his determination. So we're just going to continue from here. So the great sage Narad told Dhruva Maharaj. So now Narad Muni is responding to him. The instruction given by your mother, Suniti, to follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotional service of the Lord. Dhruva Maharaj's demand was to achieve an abode even greater than Lord Brahma, because his stepmother Surichi, she had upset him, told him that he was not worthy of this kingdom of his father because he had taken up birth from her womb. So within this universe, Lord Brahma is supposed to be in the most exalted position, for he is the chief of all demigods. But Dhruva Maharaj wanted a realm beyond his. Therefore, his desire was not to be fulfilled by worshipping any demigod, because his desire was too big for the demigods. So as described in Bhagavad-Gita, the benedictions offered by the demigods are all temporary. Therefore, Narad Muni asked Dhruva Maharaj to follow the path recommended by his mother, to worship Krishna Vasudeva. When Krishna offers anything, it is beyond expectation of the devotee. Both Sniti and Narad Muni knew that the demand of Dhruva Maharaj was impossible for any demigod to fulfill, and therefore both of them recommended following the process of devotion service to Lord Krishna. And we see in our lives as well that we've discussed this so many times, that we are only looking for something small, but Krishna's mercy, he gives us something much, much beyond our expectations. So Narad Muni was very pleased with Dhruva Maharaj, and he could have at once personally given whatever he wanted. But that is not the duty of the spiritual master. So the spiritual master's duty is to show you the path, the way. You have to walk that path. His duty is to engage the disciple in proper devotional service as prescribed in Shastras. Krishna was similarly present before Arjuna, and even though he could have given him all facilities for victory over the opposing party without a fight, he didn't do so. Instead, he asked Arjuna to fight. In the same way, Narad Muni asked Dhruva Maharaj to undergo devotional discipline in order to achieve the desired result. So, as we say this month, endeavor is very important, very important. Our endeavor, Krishna wants to see endeavor, because that is our free will. How we act, our actions are very important, because our actions lead to our destiny. So very important that we make the right actions, and Krishna wants to see how you act, what decision you take. So according to that, our life continues. Let's do a prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Lamyate Gurim Yat Kirpatam Hamandashi Gurun Din Dharanam Paramananda Madhvam Shri Chandra Ishwara. Hari Om Tassat Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Duriyat Nasta Preshu Vidareshu Nitam Bhagavat Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Neshtiki. Hare Krishna. So any person who desires the fruits of the four principles, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and at the end, liberation. These are the four principles given in the Shastras. Should engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For worship of his lotus feet yields the fulfillment of all these. In Bhagavad-Gita, it is said that only with the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can the demigods offer benediction. So even the demigods, they have to take permission from the Lord before they give any benediction to anyone. Actually, the demigods cannot give any benediction without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. Narada Muni therefore advised that even for religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation, so if you want any one of these four things, one should approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the way. Offer prayers and ask for the fulfillment of one's desire at the lotus feet of the Lord. So depending on your stage of your life, you could be asking for any one of these things. You want to do dharma, you want some economic development, financially, and you want some sense gratification, or you just want liberation. Anything you want, you can order. Well, it's not an order supplier, but you can request, you can offer prayers to the Lord. That is real intelligence. An intelligent person never goes to demigods to pray for anything. He goes directly to the Supreme, as Lord Sri Krishna has said in Bhagavad-Gita. Performance of ritualistic ceremonies is not actually religion. The real path of religion is to surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord. For one who is actually surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, there is no question of any separate endeavor for economic development. A devotee engaged in service to the Lord is not disappointed in the satisfaction of his senses, even. So if you are worshipping Krishna, then you don't have problem with economic development, and you don't have problem with sense gratification. These things come automatically, it's part of the package. If he wants to satisfy his senses, Krishna fulfills that desire. As far as liberation is concerned, any devotee fully engaged in the service of the Lord is already liberated. Because if you are doing things with spiritual consciousness, then you are detached, you're already liberated. Therefore, there is no separate necessity for his liberation. Narada Muni therefore advised Dhruva Maharaj to take shelter of Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, and engage himself in the way that his mother had advised, for that would help him fulfill his desire. In this verse, Narada Muni has specially stressed the devotional service of the Lord as the only way. In other words, even if one is full of material desires, he can continue his devotional service to the Lord and all his desires will be fulfilled. But in those times, time Dhruva, the devotional service was meditation, meditating on the Lord, and that's what Dhruva did. It was very, very difficult what he had to do, but that was the way to please the Lord. My dear boy, I therefore wish all good fortune for you, said Narada Muni. You should go to the bank of Yamuna. So he now is showing the way for how to get quick results. Where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvan. and there be purified. Just by going there, one draws nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always lives there. So a lot of our devotees, they are currently in Vrindavan. They go to the dhams because they're very potent and you get to be close to the Lord. Obviously, we are grastas, we come back, but we come back with so much spirituality, you know, so much blessings. Both Narad Muni and Suniti, the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, advised Dhruva Maharaj to worship the Supreme Personality Godhead. Now, Narad Muni is especially giving him directions how this worship of the Supreme Person can be very quickly fructified. So he's showing him how he can get quick results because he's only a child and he might not be able to sustain for too long. So he's showing him the quick method. He recommends that Dhruva Maharaj go to the bank of Yamuna, where there's a forest of the name Madhuvan, and begin his meditation and worship there. That will be most important for him. Place of pilgrimage yield a special advantage for a devotee in quickly advancing his spiritual life. Lord Krishna lives there. Lord Krishna lives everywhere, but still it is very easy to approach him in holy places of pilgrimage because these places are inhabited by great sages. Lord Shri Krishna says that he lives wherever his devotees are chanting the glories of his transcendental activities. That he lives wherever his devotees are chanting the glories of his transcendental activities. There are many places of pilgrimage in India, and especially prominent are Badrinaarayan, Dwarka, Rameshwar, and Jagannath Puri. These are the sacred places that are called the four dhams. That's the ones we follow in ISKCON. The four dhams: Dwarka, Rameshwar, Jagannath Puri, and Badrinaarayan. Dham refers to a place where one can immediately contact the Supreme Lord. There are 12 forests in the areas of Vrindavan, and Madhuvan is one of them. So Narad Muni instructed, my dear boy, in the waters of the Yamuna river, which is known as Kalindi, should take 3 baths daily because the water is very auspicious, sacred, and clear. After bathing, he should perform the necessary regulative principles for Ashtanga Yoga and then sit down on your asana in a calm and quiet position. So it appears from the statement that Dhruva Maharaj had already been instructed how to practice the Eightfold Yoga system. So he must have already known this system because Narad Muni is saying, then you practice that. It is understood that in Ashtanga Yoga, one practices sitting, settling the mind, and then concentrating on the form of Lord Vishnu, as will be described in the following verses. It is clearly stated here that Ashtanga Yoga is not a bodily gymnastic exercise. One has to cleanse himself very nicely in clear or sacred water 3 times daily. The water of the Yamuna is naturally very clear and pure, and thus if anyone bathes there 3 times, undoubtedly he will be very greatly purified externally. Narad Muni therefore instructed Dhruva Maharaj to go to the bank of Yamuna and thus become externally purified. This is part of the gradual process of practicing mystic yoga. So after sitting on your seat, practice the 3 kinds of breathing exercises and thus gradually control the life air, the mind, and the senses. So they will have to be in your control. Completely free yourself from all material contamination and with great patience begin to meditate on the Supreme Personality Godhead. So you can only meditate the Supreme Personality Godhead if you have your mind and senses in control, because our mind and senses going everywhere. You know, we're thinking about nice foods or, you know, what we're going to do today, you know, where we're going to go today. Mind is just everywhere. Who are you going to speak to today? How can you think about the Lord if, you know, your mind is wandering everywhere? Special stress is given to the breathing exercise, so stopping the disturbing mind. The mind by nature is always oscillating. That's the way it is. It's not, the mind does not stand still. It's always oscillating, always doing something. It's not a still movie. It's not a still picture, it's like a video. It has to run. The video is running in our mind all the time. But it is very fickle, but the breathing exercise is meant to control it. This process of controlling the mind might have been very possible in those days, millions of years ago, when Dhruva Maharaj took to it. So Prabhupada explaining that although this is a process for controlling the mind, but maybe at that time it was possible, but now it isn't. But at the present moment, the mind has to be fixed directly on the lotus feet of the Lord by the chanting process. So we are giving the mantra, and we should focus on the mantra, hear the mantra. So that way the mind is in control. We stop it from going anywhere else. You hear the mantra. That is a trick now, that you're not doing any breathing exercises. We are chanting, listening to the mantra, stop the mind wandering off. It will wander off, then you bring it back again, listen to the mantra. So hearing is the way in the Kali Yuga, hearing the mantra, that is our mind control and sense control. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one immediately concentrates on the sound vibration and thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord. And very quickly one is elevated to the position of samadhi. So, or trance. So we talk about Dhruva Maharaj, what he has to do. For Prabhupada has very nicely explained to us what we have to do in comparison. We're comparing, because everything we're reading, we're trying to learn something from that. So the principle is same. The principle is that we bring up a mind and senses in control. Those days it was done through meditation, through breathing control. It's very difficult for us to do that. We give a simple way: listen to the sound vibration of the mantra, control your mind and senses. They will try to get away, but keep hold on to them. If one goes and chanting the holy names of the Lord, which are not different from the Supreme Personality Godhead, naturally his mind becomes absorbed in the thought of the Lord. It is here recommended to Dhruva Maharaj that he meditate on the Supreme Guru or Supreme Spiritual Master. The Supreme Spiritual Master is Krishna, who is therefore known as Cheta Guru. This refers to the Super Soul, who is sitting in everyone's heart. He helps from within, as stated in Bhagavad-Gita, and he sends a spiritual master who helps from without. The spiritual master is the external manifestation of the Cheta Guru, or the spiritual master sitting in everyone's heart. And in the end of the day, it's all Krishna. Whether he's sitting inside or in front of us, or in the form of the spiritual master, who is the representative of Lord Krishna, it's all about Lord Krishna end of the day. He's doing everything to help us from within and without. The process by which we give up our thoughts of material things is called pratyahar, which entails being freed from all material thoughts and engagements. Unless one's mind is fixed, one cannot meditate. The conclusion, therefore, is that the meditation means thinking of the Lord within, whether one comes to the stage by the Ashtanga Yoga system or by the method recommended in the Shastra, especially for this present age. To constantly chant the holy name of the Lord. The goal is to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the form of the Lord is described herein. Now, Narada Muni is describing what the Lord looks like. The Lord's face is perpetually very beautiful and pleasing in attitude. To the devotees who see him, he appears never to be displeased and is always prepared to award benedictions to them. His eyes, his nicely decorated eyebrows, his raised nose, and his broad forehead are all very beautiful. He is more beautiful than all the demigods. This verse clearly explains how one has to meditate on the form of the Lord. Impersonal meditation is a bogus invention of modern days. In none of the Vedic literatures is impersonal meditation recommended. In Bhagavad-Gita, when meditation recommended, the word matparha, which means pertaining to me, is used. Any Vishnu form pertains to Lord Krishna because Lord Krishna is the original Vishnu form. Sometimes someone tries to meditate upon the impersonal Brahman, which is described in Bhagavad Gita as avyakta, meaning unmanifested or impersonal. But it is remarked by the Lord himself that those who are attached to this impersonal feature of the Lord suffer a very troublesome task, because no one can concentrate on the impersonal feature. One has to concentrate on the form of the Lord, which is described here in connection with Dhruva Maharaj's meditation, as will be apparent from later descriptions. Dhruva Maharaj perfected this kind of meditation and his yoga was successful. Now, yeah, so there's a lot of people who believe in the impersonal Brahman, God with no body or features. So how can you concentrate on that? Or even if it's a light, how can you just keep your focus on that? Prabhupada says that's just waste of time. Not when he continued, the Lord's form is always youthful. Every limb and every part of his body is properly formed, free from defect. His eyes and lips are pinkish like the rising sun. He is always prepared to give shelter to the surrendered soul, and anyone so fortunate as to look upon him feels all satisfaction. The Lord is always worthy to be the master of the surrendered soul, for he is the ocean of mercy. So next time you see the rising sun and you see the pinkish hue, then you can think of the Lord that way. So the Lord is everywhere. You can imagine that the pinkish hue as his eyes and lips, that's what the Lord's eyes and lips look like. Everyone has to surrender to someone superior. That is all the nature of our living condition. At the present moment, we are trying to surrender to someone, either to society, to our nation, family, state, or government. So it's our nature. We have to surrender to someone, or that's the process. The surrendering process already exists, but is never perfect, because the person or institution onto whom we surrender is imperfect. And our surrender, having so many ulterior motives, is also imperfect. So we have our own agenda when we're surrendering to someone, whether it's a society, to government, or family. We have an agenda. We after something, right? So as such, in the material world, no one is worthy to accept anyone's surrender, nor does anyone fully surrender to anyone else unless obliged to do so. But here the surrendering process is voluntary, and the Lord is worthy to accept the surrender. This surrender by the living entity occurs automatically as soon as he sees the beautiful, youthful nature of the Lord. You automatically surrender. And this is what Krishna wants. He doesn't want to force you into surrender. Right? He wants you to surrender by your own free will. That is our right. And Krishna is pleased by that, that if we do something, we want to do it, not that we have been forced to do it, then there's no point. The description given by Narada Muni is not imaginary. The form of the Lord is understood by the Parampara system. Mayavadi philosophers say that we have to imagine the form of the Lord, but here Narada Muni does not say that. Rather, he gives a description of the Lord from authoritative sources. He is himself an authority and is able to go to Vaikuntha Lok and see the Lord personally. Therefore, his description of the bodily features of the Lord is not an imagination. Sometimes we give instructions to our students about the bodily features of the Lord, and they paint him. The paintings are not imaginary. The description is given through disciplic succession, just like that given by Narada Muni, who sees the Lord and describes his bodily features. Therefore, such description should be accepted. And if they're painted, that is not imaginative painting. So if somebody is describing someone's features because they have seen him, then that is a true replica or picture of that person. So it's not imaginary, it's what they have seen with their eyes, and they're describing that this is what the Lord looks like. His form is like this, his features are like this, his hair are like this, he's wearing this dress. I mean, on the criminal side, you see, when they're describing a criminal, what do you look like? He's wearing this kind of trainers, wearing a tracksuit. It's not imaginary. They actually seen it, and they're describing, and a picture is made of that person. So similarly, people have seen Krishna, they have described him, and we get to see either the worshipful deity or pictures of the Lord. So thank you for joining Hina Mataji, Partha Prabhu, Praveen Mataji, Prem Prakash Prabhu, and Sarvashriya Gopi Mataji. Thank you for listening, and would like to get your views on this. So we've talked about mind control, we talked about the features of the Lord, and we talk about a young person who's taking on this bhakti, although it's for his personal satisfaction at the moment, for sense gratification, because he wants the best planet, better than in Brahma. There's so many things going on in this. So I'd like to hear from yourselves. Maybe start with Hina Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for a lovely reading this morning. Yeah, lots of really good points, but I think the key things that have I'm going to take away and hopefully carry them for the rest of the day in my mind are you touched upon surrendering, and that's how we tend to materialistically surrender to the wrong things generally, whether it's to our dog or families, etc., other people in the world, and actually surrender to God is the only thing we really need to be kind of giving everything to. And I think in the purport you read something about how surrender to God is the key. Srila Prabhupada mentioned about surrendering to God is almost the key of all religions. That's the essence of all religions, but sometimes that gets lost in these religions. Do you know what I mean? But however, we're so fortunate that message is so clear to us, that how Srila Prabhupada has articulated that so clearly, that is it. That's the main thing, is surrender to God, and how devotional service is the only way. We must engage our senses to please Him and only Him. And if we do that, then our senses are being used in the right way. And it's eternal as well. What we do there, what that service is eternal. Whereas if we do anything in this world, whether it's it's temporary, this world is temporary. But if we're doing anything that's for our own benefit, sense gratification, that benefit is temporary. That's not the use of our senses. And also you touched upon how difficult the eightfold yoga system is. Obviously, Dhruva Maharaj was able to master it in that age, but we're so fortunate. Okay, we're not able to do that, but what we do have is japa and mantra meditation, the mantra that we've been given, the Hare Krishna mantra, which is all we need to be able to obtain exactly what Dhruva Maharaj obtained. And that's sometimes challenging to, believe. But we must have faith, and that's all we need. Just chanting is all we need to be able to control our mind and senses, and it's a service to Krishna. So we need to remember that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the wonderful all the points that you have made, and especially the dogs. There's so many people now surrendered to dogs. They have to take them, whether it's rain or shine, they have to take them out for walks, and when they relieve themselves, they have to clean up behind them, and probably bring them home and then wash them and all sorts of things. Some dogs and cats, they will go into the bed with you as well. There's so much going on, and they're like their children. But okay, it seems a good thing that you're helping an animal, but spending all that time on the animal, maybe that time was given in devotional service or to reading, etc. That would benefit you more, most definitely. And excellent points. And to be honest, after doing this reading right now, even I'm picturing this better, that now I can compare that instead of doing breathing exercise, going to Stang Yoga, which is very difficult, as you mentioned, and doing that, all I have to do is just listen. I'm chanting, in a leisurely way, comfortably, and all I have to do is just listen, and that is my Stang Yoga. Simple as that. That is our Stang Yoga of today, is just to listen to what I'm chanting, and but we're just not mindful of that. And to be honest, after reading this, I've come a little bit more mindful that if I chant, that's my Stang Yoga. Thank you so much, Mataji. Partha Prabhu,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, such a nice class with so many points discussed.
Yeah.
And Hina Mataji also mentioned so nicely. I think you, yesterday I was listening to one other class and where they mentioned about like, is it really appropriate to worship the Lord? Ask the Lord to save him. Like ask Krishna to save me. Is it really appropriate or not? So Prabhuji was saying that it is appropriate because we are not asking anything for saving the material body. Like Arjuna when requested Krishna, he is not asking Krishna to save his body, but he is asking Krishna to protect him from Maya so that he will not forget his name, be in any place, but I should not forget your name. So in that case, we are okay, appropriate to ask Krishna to save us. That's what he said. That I like that point very much. And you mentioned about demigod worship, which is again reference to chapter like Bhagavad-Gita, where demigods also give benediction, but that benediction will not last for a longer period. Even to give that benediction, they need to get sanction from the Lord. But without the sanction of the Lord, even the grass can also not move. So even the benedictions given by demigods are coming from Krishna directly. And those benedictions will not last for a longer period. And they will make you bind to this material world again. That is why it's better to worship Krishna directly rather than worshipping demigods. That is one thing. And you mentioned about Ashtanga Yoga process. So again, it's very, very difficult. And the nice point you mentioned, Prabhuji, like at that moment, Ashtanga process was there in that yuga. But for this yuga, it is not suitable. So it clearly shows that for each yuga, there are different processes. And that is why he was asked to follow the Ashtanga Yoga process in that period and chanting for this period. That's all, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. At that time, that was the qualification because they had the bodies to do that. I think at that time, if they were asked to just sit and chant, that probably be too easy because I think they had more control. Oh, that would be like too easy for them. But now, because the Kali Yuga deteriorated, that is not so easy for us. But I think in that millions of years ago, this is very easy. And Venkat Prabhu, he was selling jap malas on Sunday for children. And these jap malas are small. They have 27 beads instead of 108. So like 1/4 of the beads, and that's trained children to chant. So they can do. They think they've done one round. 27. So it's like that. We would do 27 times 16. We think, oh, this is easy. 27 times 16, finish in half an hour, job done. But because we're adults, we are expected to do 16 rounds of 108. So it's like that. Now we so the adults, so the devotees from previous yugas, they're like the adults in this. If they were given task of this yuga, which is like the 27 beads rather than 108, it's like that, right?
Right.
Very easy for them. But for us, it seems like a big task. That's all it is.
Nice, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Roy. Praveen Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Yes, very nice class. And in the verses you read today in a short time, the importance of like spiritual master, devotional service, pilgrimage, and then breathing exercise, which is for us like chanting, not Ashtanga yoga, and listening to the mantra we say, and then the beauty of the Lord is explained by Narada, so following the parampara system. So all the points that Prabhupada have explained very nicely in here, the importance of them. So we understand, how important these are. And like Navataji and Pratha Prabhu, they've explained nicely about surrendering to the Lord. And thank you so much for the class of Jan. You mentioned the word endeavor. So Kartik month, yes, we are all trying to do that extra endeavor. And please give us more blessings and more guidance. So we get, the bhav and love for Krishna more and more. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And I'll tell you, Mataji, my own experience in the previous years, and especially this year, I find that anything you want to achieve, even your prema bhakti, right? As we read in the Damdavastikam, you want prema bhakti. Anything I find that in this month, and I think that is the 1,000 times mercy. That anything you try to achieve comes a lot easier than any other month. Whatever you want to achieve, you find by the end of the month you would have achieved it. And if you want, wish for prema bhakti, you feel it that it's working a lot easier. You want taste, you want to be able to focus on the holy name. If you really want it, this is the month to ask for it, and you get 1,000 times more opportunity to get it than you do in any other month. It's just everything's so accessible this month. We just have to focus on it. It's there. It's there for the taking. You're like 1,000 times more stronger. You're 1,000 times more focused. You're 1,000 times more intelligent this month. That you can take it. But you have to do the endeavor. You just take it. It's there, available for you. And that's was my realization for this month. And I have also experienced the previous month. It's there for the taking. You're 1,000 times more stronger this month. Just think you got, Banusur, you got 1,000 arms instead of just 2 arms. Just like that, you got so much power this month. Krishna has bestowed so much power this month. Not that he has given us power, but he's made it 1,000 times easier for us to get it, right? That's the real way. So just take it. It's there available. Thank you,
Thank
Manoj.
you, Prabhuji. Yeah, the only thing, like you said about the dogs, yes, it is. Like I feel that way as well. People are wasting their time after the pets. But then again, I think like some people are unfortunate because they have, nobody, like the devotees haven't come in their life to guide them, and because of their mental state, and that's the only way they think they can survive with the animal. But yeah, I feel that as well. How much they'll benefit if they just do chanting and just a little bit of seva. So yeah,
Sure.
so we can pray for them. So people who are suffering,
Sure.
so
Yeah.
Krishna, please bestow His mercy on them so they come closer to Krishna.
Sure, Mataji. Yeah, I'm so the dogs have their advantages, especially if you like partially sighted. The dogs come in very useful. My point is that let's not get attached, just like Bharat Maharaj, let's not get attached to the animal or even family. We shouldn't be attached. And sometimes it seems like people are very much attached to them. And also it does create a lot more work. For if you are if it's for a reason, that if it helps you mentally or physically, that you get to do some exercise, or mentally, because if you're living alone, especially with the English people as well, if they're living alone, they have a cat or dog for company. I can understand their point, but if it's just for recreation, then you're better off being attached to God than to the animals. That's the point. But if if it's like a medicine, then every medicine is good, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, we have this instrument that should be in top condition. But why should it be in top condition? Not for sense gratification, should be in top condition. So the principle is to worship the Lord. Worship the Lord in any yuga. All yugas recommend worship of the Lord in different ways. Principle is same. You worship the Lord by controlling the senses of mind, whether it's by Ashtanga Yoga or by hearing the vibration or by doing yajnas, whatever the method, the principle is same. And who do we worship? We worship Vishnu, we worship Sri Krishna, and that is recommended in every yuga. So that's, but like, yeah, you're right. If you need it for your sanity and for your health, then I can understand where they're coming from. But that should not be the goal. That's the means to your goal. The goal is Lord Krishna. Because end of the day, when you leave this body, you're going to need Lord Krishna to direct you in the right way, put you in the right destination. So that is the important thing. If you think about a dog or a cat, time of death, then will come back as one. That's what the Shastras are saying. So there's that danger, that's all. Thank you, Mataji. Prem Prakash Babu?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, I mean, the points are really amazing, and almost everyone has highlighted. But just want to bring one thing is that the Madhuvan is a Raj Mandal, and it's been said that any austerity done there is like someone says 1,000 times more. Someone says, I mean, multifolds cannot be accounted for. So this is how Guru is guiding, right? I mean, looking at the capability of person, state of person, then Narad Muni is guiding that what is the right prescription, where to get that where to achieve it, and that's so amazing. I mean, to get blessings of Guru Maharaj and his instructions, basically. So that is how Prahlad Maharaj was prescribed to go to Madhuvan. And Madhuvan later on, obviously it's Madhuvan, but that's Mathura Mandal that came from there, from that place uh, where many pastimes are associated, even in the time of Ramayana, they associated. So this place is really very glorious. I mean, and that's what Indra Prabhu also said to people, that you want to do bhakti, that's fine. But why don't you come to Raj Mandal and do it? Because then you get benefits beyond your imagination, and the progress is tremendous. So, and that was sticking in my mind actually, that how the blessings flows, and to compare with Srila Prabhupada, when we start reading scriptures, the essence, I mean, the highest essence of achieving love for Godhead, the highest, the topmost, whichever is mentioned, he has made that into, he has recommended that, prescribed into our daily routines: smelling flowers, looking at the deities, dancing for the deities, honoring prasadam. So these are chanting the holy names, always engaging ourselves in bhakti. So this is how actually we relate. We become the part of parampara, and to compare ourselves with what's happening in Dhruva Maharaj's lives, Narad Muni is instructing, Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj are instructing us. It's just that how much devoted we are there for the instruction. And coming on Friday morning, attending in sanghas, one of the indication and positive note for us that we are actually dedicated. If not completely, at least we are on the path of dedication, to attend and listen to the instructions, develop love for the scriptures, develop love for the devotees, develop love for Krishna. And with these lectures, we get much more knowledge than we would get ever by just sitting or waking up without in Krishna conscious. People will simply not be able to achieve that. Yeah, but the important thing is remembering Krishna always. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. So it's a third state, but yeah, that comes automatically by the mercy of Lord and his devotees. So that's what I will have to add, Prabhupada. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, we're going to find the potency. We need some shortcuts, Prabhu. That's as well. Because like I was saying, Kali Yuga, there's too much distraction, and we need some shortcuts. This is why maybe the devotees are going again and again to the dhams to find, get more mercy, that we can quickly advance, because we need to quickly advance. Life is too short. We don't know how much short it is. That's the other thing. So we need to advance quickly. Let's not waste time on anything. As I say, that as you get older in material life, as you get older, you start walking. When younger, you're running, and the elders start walking. But in spiritual life, it's always opposite. Younger life, you can walk. In elder life, start running in your spiritual life. That's the thing. Physically, you start walking, but spiritually, start running, because you don't know how much time you have. And we want to advance. We want to advance to the finish line before we give up this body. Thank you, Prabhu. Swashi Mataji, Hari Bol.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
I think mind is very flickering. It says in Bhagavad-Gita, is to Arjuna, says to Krishna, Chancharam Mana Krishna, is very flickering. It goes, you're concentrating on something, the mind runs away. So it's not that Narada Muni is describing the features of the Lord, and the jewelry he's wearing step by step. He's starting from the feet, to the head. And just so that Dhruva Maharaj can concentrate, and now how Lord Vishnu looks, his mind doesn't flicker. So we can do the same thing. Our mind flickers, and if we just for a 1 minute we can concentrate our mind, how just meditate or think of Krishna's features, how he looks, then you can control the mind. And because without knowing Krishna, because he's a personal, he's a person, and it's very hard. I mean, if it's not personal, you can't concentrate. So a very nice way of description, and he described it how he looks. So Dhruva Maharaj will know how Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu looks. And then it says, in any circumstances, you want anything, serious desire, you want liberation, you don't liberation, you always worship Lord Krishna. And because that's permanent. And if you worship demigods, ask things from demigods, it's not permanent. I mean, it's already been discussed. So I haven't got much to say. I'm just saying the features of the Lord, the mind is flickering, and you should pray to Krishna if you want anything, even if you have a desire. If you desire anything, you have to pray to Krishna instead of demigod. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. I'm just thinking about the 4 Kumaras. I mean, with Dhruva Maharaj, at least he was touched by the conch of the Lord. 4 Kumaras, I can't remember, but I don't think all 4 Kumaras, they saw Narayan. They went to see Narayan, and they just saw him. Before that, they were impersonalists. After seeing Narayan, they became devotees of the Lord just by seeing him. And so that's very important. As this is why when we are chanting, we hear the vibration, and we can think about the Lord. No, we shouldn't think, we should be listening, but maybe you can picture the Lord, and that's from here what he says, very, very, very important. Want to say quickly?
Hare Krishna, everyone. I hope all of you are having wonderful Kartik month. I just wanted to add one realization I had after listening to a wonderful class. It was all about that as soon as we say the Mahamantra, we develop connection with Krishna. Because Krishna notices us that, okay, these jivas are trying to call me in this Kali Yuga when most of jivas have actually forgotten the holy name and the Lord himself. The connection is made soon as we call his name, because Lord is noticing us. But now the onus is upon us afterwards to make that relationship. Like in the material world, the connection is established as soon as you know the person's name, or you ask, how are you, and all that stuff. But the relationship, making relationship even in the material world, takes so much time and so much effort. So Krishna has given us all the tools, everything is there, Shastras are there, they're like the tools and the means. Now it's up to us that how serious we are about this relationship. all we are doing in this world is we are just worried about the temporary relationships, temporary, everything is temporary, but we are so much dedicated to that. For example, dog. If somebody has a dog, they're just so much worried about the dog's well-being, his food, his vaccination, his vet, his appointments are on time, this and that. If you can be worried so much about such a simple thing, which is temporary, end of the day. Even our body is temporary. And what to speak of, after hearing all these instructions, all these classes, and doing so much chanting and still being inattentive. So it's shame on us that, including me, of course, it's shame on us that we are not eager to establish that relationship seriously. And that relationship is going with us life after life. And that is the only relationship which is going to take us back out of this abyss of an ocean where we are stuck. So let us endeavor and let us try in the remaining days of this Kartik, and especially Bhisham Panchak, which we have in the last 5 days, and try to observe the vrata of that time if you can, if your body allows and your circumstances allow, and just get raring to go to make this relationship a reality in this lifetime. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. It is mentioned for Grastas that our Grasta life and our spiritual life, they go side by side. This is why we are Grastas. We have to concentrate on both, whether it's family or pets, it doesn't matter. Both lives have to go side by side. But you don't give too much preference to just one, not too much to family life, and forget spirituality. And don't just go completely spirituality and forget the family either. Krishna says that both in chapter 2, that you have to do both. They're both your responsibility. Spirituality is your responsibility, and your family life is responsibility. But you have to balance them properly. Don't forget Krishna, but don't forget your children and the people who relying on you. Don't forget them either. There has to be balance. If you just walk out of the house and leave your children and forget your family, and you might not be able to sustain your bhakti that way either. Not everybody can do that. So you have to stay in the world, live in this world, but have a balance.
Bring Krishna in the middle of every activity.
Yeah. And always remember your spiritual goal, that is Krishna. Thank you so much. Let's do a couple of nice rounds. I'm running a bit late, but let's do a couple of rounds. Swashi Mataji and then Praveen Mataji. Hare Krishna.